Good evening. We have a famous halacha that when Purim is over, we begin to prepare for Pesach. 30 days before Pesach starts, Passover, we begin to learn all the laws apply to Pesach. The truth is, from all the holidays, this is the most complicated holiday to learn about. There's a lot to know. All the laws of chametz, of the plates, the pots, the oven, the house, be'ur chametz, then the laws of Leil HaSeder, matzah, maror, the 4 cups of wine, chol hamoed. There's a lot to know. Also Sukkot also, you need to know about Aminim, the laws of Sukkah. There's also a lot to know in Sukkot. But Pesach is the most complicated thing. And the Mekubalim, the Kabbalist says that someone who is careful with the Chametz in Pesach, very careful in Chametz, it's a Sgula. It's able to save him all year from sins. The importance of cleaning up the Chametz away from our life on Pesach, it's equal to cleaning all the Yetzer Hara from the heart of a person. That's what it really is. Just when the month of Nisan arrives, you should know that Pesach was supposed to start now. Supposed to be now Pesach. It's supposed to be now in Chol HaMoed now. Why? It was postponed by a month because we pushed one more month to the calendar, Adar Bet. And you see the snow outside. That's the proof that we do the right thing. Why? Because the Torah says Chag HaAviv, the holiday of the spring, Chag HaAviv. Imagine Chag HaAviv still raining in Israel or it's snowing here. It's not Aviv. So every time it falls short, around March, then there's always Adar Bet. Every 2 to 3 years you have extra month in a calendar, 19 years period. Every 19 years you have 7 extra months. Sheva Adar Bet, 7 more months into the calendar, which falls every 2 to 3 years, just to keep making Pesach always fall in the spring. Always in the spring. One of the mitzvot of the month of Nisan is that we do Birkat HaIlanot. It's a blessing that we have to go. It needs to be 2 trees, fruit trees, anywhere. It can be in a field, it can be in a private property. And this is the halacha. Someone who sees the flowers of these fruit trees starting to come out, he makes a bracha, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam, שלא חיסר בעולמו כלום, וברא בו בריאות טובות, ואילנות טובות ליהנות בהם בני אדם, ואינו מברך אלא once a year. There's one time only you make this bracha. What's the translation of this bracha? Bless you, God, the King of the world, that did not make anything missing in this world. Everything is perfect. And created good creations and good trees to benefit people from this tree. What's the secret of this mitzvah? That one of the punishments that people get after they died is to be reincarnated. Now I say that many times in the past, there's different reincarnation, different gilgulim. Sometimes it can be in raw material, sometimes it can be in animals, sometimes it can be in growing trees, fruit, sometimes it can be in regular people, sometimes it can be in autistic people. So there's all these gilgulim. When a person is reincarnated, his soul is reincarnated in growing, in vegetables, fruit, trees, so the way to make a correction to that soul, what is it? Is to make this bracha and let release the souls that are reincarnated in that tree. Also, when a person make a bracha on an orange, on a peanut, nuts, anything that is growing, there's a very high chance, not always, sometimes it can be an apple, there's no soul in it. You made a bracha, you thank God, finished. But sometimes, thanks to your bracha, you release the soul, and that soul finished being reincarnated as a punishment in this world. Now you understand how important it is never to forget to make a bracha. A person can come and eat something, and doesn't make a bracha, that soul has to be reincarnated again, because he did not arrive to his correction. We don't know how it's connected. And Hashem also make the right fruit comes to your hand. You have millions of oranges in the market. You go, you pick up 10, you put in a bag, you come home. From the 10, one of the 10 comes to your mouth, the other one goes to your wife. Do you think it's coincidence? Nothing is coincidence. The soul that you are somehow connected with from your previous life arrived to your hand. You understand? So, this is it. This is it. You have an opportunity to correct the soul by doing the right thing, by saying few words. Then we have something that's called Shabbat HaGadol, the big Shabbat. What does it mean, the big Shabbat? It's a significant Shabbat for the whole year. It's the Shabbat that comes before Pesach. The Shabbat that comes before the Passover starts, it's called the big Shabbat. Why we call it the big Shabbat? Why it's bigger than the Shabbat that comes in 2 days? Why it's bigger? Because this is the Shabbat that the big miracle happened to the Jewish nation. All the miracle of Passover, all these things that we learn about and talk about, happen in a Shabbat prior to the holiday of Pesach. Then is a mitzvah for all the rabbis of the shuls to give a nice, beautiful speech. And that Shabbat, they usually do it either in the morning after Tfilat Shachrit, or they do it before Mincha. An hour before Mincha of Shabbat start, hundreds of people come to the shul, and the rabbi speaks about preparation for Pesach, and about the exodus of Egypt, the miracles, the 10 plagues, some translation about the Haggadah, interpretation about the Haggadah, what does it mean, the secrets of the Haggadah. You can give a lecture that will take 1,000 hours just on the Haggadah alone. Every word over there you can say half an hour or an hour speeches just on that word. So much to say. We've been saying Haggadah every year, and I remember every year I have a whole new lecture about the Haggadah, different than the previous years, right? There's so much accumulate in my mind over the year for Pesach. This is always you find out new things, more and more things. You understand? So this is called Shabbat HaGadol, preparation before Pesach begin. Then what happens if Pesach falls on Shabbat? When is going to be Shabbat HaGadol? Shabbat before. You make it one Shabbat before, even though in the date it wasn't according to the time of the miracle. But since there's no other time, you do it an hour before. Then, so far we spoke about preparation before we arrive to Pesach. Yeah.
Is the chametz is a symbolic thing about, like as we said about our averot? Is it a symbolic thing?
Chametz is the sin. Chametz is the sin. Chametz also it's rising, it's puffy. It's signified the illusions, all the fake lifestyle that we have. And matzah, it's humbled. It's called lechem oni, bread of shame. Why? It doesn't rise. It's like crackers. It's not pretty. It's not rising. It's nothing like this. That's the difference between living in the right way and living fake lifestyle when the bread is rising. Yeah. Did you ever see an Indian bread, how it looks? It looks like a balloon. You go to an Indian restaurant, they give you bread, it looks much round, like a balloon. Wow, what a big bread. Well, all you have to do is take your finger, make a hole in it. It's very, very thin. Steam comes out like in a train, you know? And in less than a minute, it all collapses like this, fall down, you pick it up, it's smaller than a little plum or anything you can think of. Smaller than a quarter in the size. It's all, they sell a few dollars the bread, it looks great. That's the difference between Jew and an Indian. Yehudi and Hodi. If you take Hashem from the Yehudi, become Hodi. It's all life of a show. It's all show off. Right. The Yehudi become a show off. show off. Yeah, that's what it is. That's why we pay the price so much. So we'll continue. So now many people are counting when Pesach comes to take all the chametz and put it in a closet or in a room and sell it to a goy. Is that a smart thing to do? The answer is no. It's better not to do it. There is something that is much, much better. What is it? To finish all the chametz. That's why I give this lecture now, almost a month before Pesach and not in the last week. Why? By the time it's going to be on the website, people still have tons of chametz. Now when they hear it 3 weeks before Pesach, it gives them enough time to cook all the pasta and all the wheat and all the barley and get rid of it. It's better not to have chametz. I have to keep chametz in my house that I'm going to have to sell it to a goy. Oh, so to burn the chametz, that's the best thing to do. But it's a shame to take bread and thing and burn it. It costs money. It's bal tashchit. So you try to leave as less as possible. By me, we leave maybe a size of a pita bread. That's it. And I take it to burn it with the chametz, finished. Why is it? Because it's better, now a month before Pesach, you take all your closet, whatever you have, pasta, wheat, wafers, cookies, breads in the freezer, you begin to dispose everything. You begin to cook it, to eat it. When Pesach comes, and the last 3-4 days before Pesach start, your house is clean. This is good for regular people that do not have any whiskey. The problem begins when you have whiskey or chametz liquors or vodka that it's chametz, but it's expensive. We have cases of beer. Oh, so it's that's a problem, because every bottle of whiskey can be $30, $40, $50, $100, whatever it is. To spill it, it's not realistic. To give it to a goy as a gift, not realistic. So if you can sell it and get your money, very good. If you can return it to the liquor store and they give you a refund, the best.
What about loaning to the goy?
Yeah, okay. Now, I never keep more than one bottle of whiskey. Usually I get it as a gift. People come for Shabbat, so they bring me whiskey. I don't remember ever in my life buying whiskey. So we have it. I try 2 months before to serve it on a Shabbos table, that the guests finish it. But by the time we came for Pesach, I don't have. But I'm not every person. Some people store their house with a lot of whiskey. These kind of people, they're going to need to sell this whiskey to a goy. And they, after Pesach, it gets back to their possession. Why? How this whole concept of selling chametz to the goy works? How does it work? Why it goes back to the Jews if you sold it to a goy? Maybe the goy wants to keep it for himself. How does it go? So you make a deal with the goy that before Pesach he gives you a down payment. Let's say you have chametz that's worth $1,000 all together. Bottles of whiskey, bottles of vodka, beers, whatever, cookies, cakes. You put everything together in a locked closet. You come to the goy, you say, I'm selling you 5 bottles of whiskey, 10 bottles of this, 20 bottles of beer, whatever it is, you write in a list. And the goys give you $10 or $1 down payment, whatever it is. In the contract that the rabbis made for you to sell your chametz to the goyim, it says that the goy has to bring the rest of the money and the moment that Pesach expires. The moment Pesach finished, he has to bring the rest of the money. If he brings the rest of the $990, then he takes all the chametz. What do I care? I'll go buy a new one. What do I care? They buy it. I'll go tomorrow to the store. I buy it. If he doesn't bring it, it counts like now I bought it back from him. You understand? Why? Because he never came to give the rest of the money. The time that I gave him expired. Now I'm buying back the chametz. And it doesn't become yours retroactive. Because if it will be the case, then the goy can mess up your whole Pesach by not bringing the rest of the money. Now what happens if a Jew has chametz in his house, more than 1 ounce chametz in his house, in the whole holiday of Pesach for 8 days in America here? What happened? It's a big tragedy. Very, very big tragedy. Why? Because there are 3 commandments in the Torah that talks about it. 3 from 613, just about chametz. One is lo yera'eh lecha chametz. You should not see any chametz in your territory. Whatever you own, you should not see chametz there. Then the Torah says in another place, lo yimatzeh lecha chametz. You should not have any chametz in your territory. And then in another place he say, you should make sure to clean your house from all the chametz in it. Get rid of it before Pesach. What's the difference between the first two and the third one? The first two are restriction. You should not. The third one is you should do. You should clean. What's the difference? Which one is worse? You should not or you should do?
You should not.
You should not is worse. Mm-hmm. For you should not, for a love in a Torah, you should give everything you own not to violate it. Everything. You have millions of dollars, you have to give it not to violate. For every you should do, you have to give up to 20% of your total worth not to violate this. So you see, restriction is more serious. You have a bigger obligation not to do it. But what happens if first of all, what's the difference between lo yira'eh lecha chametz to lo yimatzeh lecha chametz? You should not see chametz, you should not have any chametz. What's the difference? You may think, if we would only say lo yira'eh, you should not see, that means I can have it, but I hide it like some people do it. They hide it in a basement. They don't know that every second they violate the halakha. They think as long as I don't see the chametz, I cover it in a box in a basement, fine. No, that's when they sell it to the goy, they close it. But the idea here is that what's going on here is that if a person, if only the Torah would say you should not see, okay, I will not see. I close it in a basement, I don't see. That's why the Torah come and say you should not have. But in that case, if the Torah say you should not have any chametz, why does it have to say you should not see? If I don't have, how would I see? It's not necessary. It's not relevant. If I don't have, I don't see. Then I may think, oh, the Torah meant you should not have in your possession, and you should not see even in a supermarket, or even in the house of John, the goy. Oh, John took a beer, I have to close my eyes. Wrong. It's not the truth. You're allowed to see chametz in Pesach. If you go to Petmark to buy something kosher for Pesach, and there's bread on the shelf and you saw it, it's not a sin. If a goy eats a sandwich on the street and you look at him, it's not a sin. So what's the reason that the Torah wrote lo yira'eh? If it's lo yimatzeh, we already understand. To double your punishment. It's exactly the same. One would cover for the other. You don't really need both of them. It's very common that when Hashem wants to double or triple the punishment of a wicked person, He repeats the same restriction in different variation, different version of the text. Same exact thing. But the Torah repeated in different words, like Shabbat repeats in the Torah 12 times. Why do you need so many times? Shabbat is different because they wanted to show you how serious is the covenant of Shabbat. But over here, if you violate the laws of Chametz, you have every second a sin of lo yira'eh. At the same time, you have every second a sin of lo yimatzeh. And at the same time, every second you have a sin of tashbitu seor mibatechem. Make sure to get rid of all the Chametz out of your home. 3 sins from the Torah every second.
What happened if you're not going to be home for Pesach?
Well, we'll get to it. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Wait, no questions, please. Let's move on with the shiur. In the end, you ask me the questions about whatever you're not sure. So, let's calculate how many sins a Jew that doesn't care about having chametz in his house makes in one holiday. In 1 hour, how many seconds you have? 3,600, right? 60 seconds in a minute. And 3,600 seconds in every hour. And each second is 3 sins. How much is 3 times 360? 1,080. 1,080 sins from the Torah every hour. Multiply by 24 hours. How much is 24 times 1,080? We have 24,000. 8 times 24, it's 160, 184, right? 184, so it's 984. So almost 25,000. 25,000 sins in one day. Multiply by 7 days. 7 times 25, 175,000 sins in one holiday. 175,000 sins. Each one of them is sin from the Torah, like eating pork, like eating a dog, like eating, I don't know what, a horse meat. Each one, the same like this. 175. This is for a person who only keep chametz in a closet, like you say, without selling it to the goy or without finishing it before. Not, of course, he doesn't dare to eat it. What happens if he eats it on Pesach? He ate vinegar on his salad. Which vinegar? Wheat vinegar. He didn't pay attention. Wheat vinegar. He ate chametz. Or cookies. It mixed with all kinds of ingredients. There's a little bit flour in it. A lot of the things, candies, this has wheat in it. Wheat starch, all these things, right? You don't really see it, you don't feel it, but it's inside. Bread, cookies, whiskey, beer, all these chametz, wafers. A person who eats it on purpose, it's equal to a murder. It's equal to Chilul Shabbat. It's equal to worshipping an idol. Murder, yes, it's equal to a murder. Wow. Eating chametz on Pesach is equal to a murder. Why? All this list that I told you, there are 36 sins that the Torah says, v'nichreta hanefesh ha'i miYisrael. I'm cutting that soul out of the Jewish nation. If it wouldn't be such a serious sin, the Torah wouldn't say the soul gets cut out of the Jewish nation, right? If a person ate something without a bracha, it's a sin. But nowhere in the Torah it says that if you didn't make a bracha on what you ate, your soul gets cut out of the next world. Or, if you didn't wash your hands when you ate bread, or if you didn't say Birkat Hamazon when you finished, it's big sins, but nowhere it says that your soul gets cut. Even for tefillin, which is one of the 3 covenants, if you don't put tefillin, it doesn't say that your soul gets cut out of the next life, even though it's such an important mitzvah. But when you eat chametz on Pesach, ladies and gentlemen, what happened to you? You are putting yourself in a jeopardy of losing your share to the world to come. Hashem Yirachem. It's in the highest provision, it's in the highest category of the sins of the Torah. One of the 36 worst sins of the Torah. You have 613, take 36 out. That's a whole league of crime, which is the worst that you can think of. Now you may come and say, I don't understand Hashem. Okay, we don't understand Hashem. Nothing is new here. But here I completely don't understand Hashem. I don't understand. You compare eating bread on Pesach to murder a person, or even to violate Shabbat, to light fire on Shabbat. You compare this? The answer is, why not? Why not? Why not? Who is in charge of the Torah to say what's worse and what's not? Hashem. Hashem say, chametz is very important. Why? Because Pesach is the holiday of the freedom. He released us from Mitzrayim, from Egypt. We used to be slaves. He took us out of Egypt and He made us free to be able to follow His Torah. Every time the Torah says to us to keep a mitzvah, what does it say? Ani Hashem Elokechem asher hotzeti etchem eretz Mitzrayim. I'm your God that took you out of Egypt, and because of that, you owe me. You have to keep all my Torah and mitzvot for your own good. You're not doing me really any favor. You're doing it for your own good. Let's move on. Then, how do we check the chametz on the morning, on the night before Pesach arrive. For instance, tonight is Wednesday. If tomorrow night would be Leila Seder, Thursday night. So tonight, Wednesday, when the stars begins to appear, today it was around 7:40, something like that, we have to light a candle, make a bracha, אשר קידשנו מצוותיו וציוונו על ביעור חמץ, and we have to check the entire house completely for not having any chametz. This is after we clean the house completely in the weeks before. Now we know the house doesn't have any chametz. We begin to check the house with a candle. Now you have to remember, when these laws were written, there was no electric. The only ways was to use a candle, right? Why not a torch? With a torch you see much better. Torch will burn your house. People can die. Candle, it's enough. It's light, it's dark. You go with the candle, you see if there's any chametz. Today you don't need candle. You only check with the candle for the first minute. One wall you check, right? Then you have a flashlight. You have to prepare battery in advance. And now, after you checked a little bit with the candle, the reason you do it, because you don't want the bracha to be bracha levatala. So you make asher kisham tzvotai be'ur chametz. You check a little bit with the candle. You put the flashlight on. Then you can put your candle off. From the time you make a bracha, you do not talk anything until you finish the entire checking. Now this place is not such a big house. You can finish the bdika here in half an hour. What happens if you have a mansion? It may take you a whole day to check. So what do? You're allowed to have your children helping you. If they're bar mitzvah and older, they're mature, each one can have his own flashlight and his own section. And you can go and check. You understand? This is what's going on. So it's easier for you to check. But you have to check very carefully, very, very carefully, because, you know, if you, chas v'shalom, neglect and you leave chametz, like I said, you can have a very serious problem. Now, when you finish checking your home, what happens if you have cars? You have to go without talking from the house into the driveway or into the street and check your cars. You check the trunk, you check under, of course you shampoo your car, you vacuum, you do all this. And you check very carefully. And don't ever forget to check the bag of the vacuum cleaner, because this is very common to forget. You check the whole house and all the bread is in one bag. Maybe 5-6 ounces of breadcrumbs are all inside. So you check that very carefully. Now, after you finish checking, you have to say, it's in the Agada, in the first pages, all the chametz that are in my possession, that I did not see, will be dismissed and become like the sand in the ground. I have no interest in it. You have to say it in a language you understand. If you speak Russian, you say it in Russian. Speak Hebrew, you say it in Hebrew. Speak English, you say it in English. And that's, you dismiss the chametz. Tomorrow morning, 4 hours into the day, 4 Jewish hours. Jewish hour change every day. It can be 50 minutes in the winter, 45 minutes. It can be 72 minutes in a summer. Now it's already more than 60 minutes now, because we are getting close to the summer. The longer we are into the summer, the day become long. The longer the light is, the longer the 12 hours of the day are. If you have 15 hours light, you take 15 hours and divide it by 12. So each hour become longer. It can be 75 minutes. And then the hours of the night become 45 minutes. You take an hour from the day and an hour from the night, you put them together like a husband and wife, it always have to be 120 minutes. You take an hour from the day, an hour from the night, you put them together, what does it have to do? 120 minutes. Why? Because 24 hours has to be 24 times 60. It has to be like this. Now, so in the morning, you eat your last breakfast, you can eat bread carefully, then you pick up everything, you take it out to the public garbage, and you take the chametz that you have all collected in a bag, or the leftover that you have from that breakfast, and you take it to a place in town that they burn the chametz. If you don't have a place to burn the chametz, you know the fire department, the police don't not allowed. If you're in Manhattan, there's no place to burn chametz. Then in that case, you either take it to a lake and you throw it over there. If you don't have a lake nearby, or Hudson River or anything like that, you flush it in your toilet and you make sure nothing left over there and finished. If you don't have toilet in your home, you spilled bleach on it, and then it becomes not chametz anymore. Once the bleach goes in it, it becomes poison. No, with bracha, because you say be'ur chametz, you be'ur chametz. But the ultimate be'ur chametz is burning with fire. Many people keep their lulav, the arbat aminim, actually the three minims that it's combined together, the adas and the arava, and they burn it together with the chametz. They throw it into the fire. So far we covered. Now remember, if you check the house for chametz, you're allowed to talk about things that connects to the checking. Like if, for instance, the flashlight doesn't work, you're allowed to tell your wife, do you have another flashlight? It doesn't work. Why? It's connected to the checking. Or you ask her, did you check up there in the attic? Did you clean this closet? Things that connects to the checking, you're allowed to talk. But things that are, you have a phone call, you're not allowed to talk. Why? Because you made a bracha and you are in the middle of the mitzvah. You cannot talk before you finish the mitzvah. Right? It's like pulling tefillin. You didn't finish and you want to talk. After you finish to put the whole tefillin, now you're allowed to talk. Right? So let's move on. After you burn the chametz, you have to dismiss the chametz one more time. This time you say, every chametz that I have in my position, whether I saw it, whether I did not see it. Why? Because right now, you're not interested to have chametz anymore. Last night, you left bread for the breakfast. So you were actually have in mind all the chametz except that bread. Right? Unless if you go to the bagel store to eat, which is the best solution. They open, it's a very busy morning for them. You eat over there, you don't keep chametz in the house. Then you have to also wash if you have a private house, you have to wash your garbages or spill bleach in it. You have to wash it with a hose. Why? Maybe chametz in it. Now remember the rule. Every chametz that will not be eaten by a dog lose the title chametz. Become poison, that's it. For instance, we are talking about something that a person won't eat and a dog won't eat. But if it's something that a dog won't eat, but a person would love to like whiskey, you give whiskey to the dog, he won't eat it, he won't drink it. But a person enjoy whiskey, right? So that's not, oh, Rabbi, you know why I'm drinking whiskey in Pesach? Because I tried to give it to my dog and it didn't eat. Didn't the Shulchan Aruch say what the dog don't eat is not chametz? So it's not chametz. That's nonsense. Things that cannot be eaten by you. He lost the taste, it became spoiled, it became muddy, it became rotten, whatever it is. And the dog won't eat it, then it's not a chametz anymore. If it stayed in your home, you did not violate any rule. Now, not everything that it's not kosher for Pesach, it's chametz. That's a very, very common mistake. Very common mistake. People kill themselves for no reason. You go to your closet. You stuffed your house with soups, with all kinds of things. Tuna cans, olive cans, pickles, all kinds of things. Corn. Is it all chametz? You checked on the can. It doesn't say kosher for Passover. Who says it's chametz? Corn is chametz? No. Tuna is chametz? No. Pickles is chametz? No. So what's the problem? You can keep it in the house. No problem. But you're not allowed to eat from it. Why? There is a scenario, possible, 1 to 1,000 or who knows, that eventually could be chametz. It could be. But it's very unlikely. What's the chance that in a corn you have wheat? 1 to 1,000, 1 to 1,000,000, who knows? So when they prepared it, there was no intention to put any chametz in it. That's why you don't have to worry about it. You just cover it or put it in a big bag and don't eat it in Pesach. You don't have to bother selling it to a goy. So So, but you have to be very careful. You have to go over the ingredients of every one of these cans. Why? It can be wheat starch. It's very common by the spices. Spices, they have all kinds of spices, grill. You have to check. A lot of them have flours, like the Israeli za'atar that they sell. Some of them has flour in it. Flour. Could be black coffee has flour in it. They mix a little bit with the coffee. Maybe the coffee is too strong. You have to know. You have to see. You have to be very careful. So remember, not everything that doesn't say on it kosher for Pesach you have to get rid of. No. You only have to get rid of it if it has one of the 5 kinds of grains in the ingredient. You understand? What about rice? It's not chametz. Rice is not chametz. So if you have rice cakes, it's not chametz. If you have rice flour, it's not chametz. If you have anything that has all kinds of rice, vinegar and stuff inside, it's not chametz. There is a difference, not between the laws, between the customs of the Sephardic Jews to the Ashkenazi Jews. By the Ashkenazim, their tradition for hundreds of years is not to eat kitniot. Kitniot, it's chickpeas, rice, all kinds of things like this. Even though it's not one of the 5 kinds of grains, the Gemara says clearly chametz is only 5 kinds of grains, which is wheat, barley, oat. What's the other 2? We have wheat, barley, oat, spelt, and rye. And rye. Very good. Those are the 5. Anything else is not chametz. However, the Ashkenazim, they made a restriction in their customs not to eat kitniot. Why? Because in the fields that they cut this, sometimes when they pack it, it's in a storage near wheat, near barley, and there's wind, and little pieces can fly and get mixed. And then when you make rice, sometimes you find inside wheat. So in that case, how does Faradim eats it on Pesach? Maybe there's wheat inside. All it needs, 1 wheat inside, and you ate chametz. The answer is, you check it 3 times. You go over the rice on the table, you check to make sure there's no brown and no black pieces, and then you get rid of it. After you check 3 times, it's called chazakah, certainty that it's clean. It cleans. Now we have to remember one thing. Every time you eat a mixture, food that is mix of few ingredients, we have a rule that if something bad fell into it, it's called batel b'shishim. If it's less than 1.6% from the mixture, it's not exist. For instance, if you have 1,000 grams of food in a pot, and 1 gram of milk fell into the meat over there, it's a meat soup with pieces of meat or chicken, and a spark of milk fell inside. If there is more than 60 times more meat with the soup, everything combined, then that dairy piece that fell inside, then you mix it, it's dismissed. 1/60th. But if it's 10%, then the entire thing becomes not kosher. Not allowed to eat it. It's not kosher. What happened if in Chol HaMoed of Pesach you made yourself a dish and 1 little tiny piece of wheat fell inside and opened? You know, when it hurts, it split, it breaks, and it rises. While you're cooking it, it made the entire thing chametz. This rule, batel b'shishim, doesn't apply in Passover. In Passover, even 1/1,000,000th of the bowl dismiss the entire bowl. Which means you can have a huge 100-pound soup you made for the entire seminar, 500 people, and 1 tiny piece of wheat, the size of a rice, fell inside, and you saw, and it got mixed. The entire thing is not kosher for Passover.
It's rice.
Rice is no problem. I say rice is not chametz. If you find it and you take it right away, yes. But if it's already started to get mixed, finish. However, if it was prepared before Pesach, and and a little piece of wheat fell inside and it got mixed, and it's dismissed by 60th. If it's not more than 1.5%, 1.6% from the mixture, it's fine. You can even eat it on Pesach. Why? Before Pesach, there's no decree. It's cancelled. In Pesach, there's extra restriction, extra cautious, that it makes the entire things. Now, every one of the utensils that we use, the pots, the plates, this, obviously, most of the religious people have a special set for Passover. They don't use the all year round. What's the poor people do? They cannot afford to have a set for this, set for that. So what do? They take their plates and their pots and they do agala. Agala means they make sure that if there is chametz observed in the plates, now they make it swallow. The plates vomit all the things that it swallowed. Which means if you have 2 or 3 grams of fat of chicken cutlet that you fried with chametz in the plates, when it's very hot, the plates absorb this chametz. Then when it's become cold, you don't see it. Even if you clean, it's inside the little holes. If you take a magnifying glass and you look at ceramic, you see that it has tiny holes and everything was absorbed inside. How do you make it kosher for Pesach? There is a rule. The same way it swallow, that's how it has to get rid of it. Which means, if you put something fried on it, you fried, right? Then you can only get it out by burning it with fire, burner, or self-clean. That's what they have, self-clean, that's also fine. But you have to burn it. The fire burns everything that was absorbed, and it's fine. If you steam it, you steam soup, water with some spices, it has wheat inside, not frying. Then all you have to do is put it inside boiling water for a few seconds. Why? The same thing, it absorbs bubbling liquid, bubbling water, get rid of it. You understand? Mm-hmm. However, glass, clear glass, does not absorb anything, doesn't have holes in it. The way they make it, it's very smooth. Therefore, if you wash it good with soap, you can use it for milk. You wash it again, you can use it for meat. You wash it again, you can use it for chametz. You wash it again, you can use it for matzah. All year round. Only for Sephardim. Even though you cannot argue the fact that it doesn't observe, the Ashkenazim has a restriction not to use glass utensils. Why? Because they don't want people to start get mixed up. One time he's going to do it with this, the next thing he's going to use it with another plate. They don't take risks. In general, the Ashkenazim Jews are much more strict than the Sephardim in Passover. Sometimes the Sephardim are much more strict than the Ashkenazim in certain things. When it comes to Passover, you sometimes wonder where the Ashkenazim found all these restrictions. For instance, you go to the synagogue in Passover by the Hasidim, they take tin foil and they cover all the walls with tin foils, the faucets, everything. You wonder to yourself, why the faucet has to be covered with tin foil? Why all the counters have to have plastics cover and tapes and this? It's extra on extra on extra. I do not like to make people's life difficult for no reason. A person wants to be extra righteous, fine, it's his choice. But there's one thing that you force yourself to do way more than the requirements of the law, and to obligate other people to do like you, that's a sin. For instance, if you are extremely cautious, more than the Torah told you. The Torah told you, up to here you have to be careful. More than this, God doesn't expect. You say, no, I'm going to do extra. No problem, very nice. Just have to make sure that it doesn't come out of ego and pride. Sometimes people trying to be extra righteous out of ego and pride. You have to see if it doesn't come from here, because if it comes from here, it's not a mitzvah. If you're really scared of violating any rule of God, and that's why you go extra more than what you should, no problem. But why are you forcing other people as well. If you have students, why are you forcing them to do like you? It's not required. Why you force your wife? Why you force your children? That's not what the Torah requires. What the requirements are, you must teach them and do everything you can for them to keep. That's your obligation. But don't kill them with the extras. Sometimes going with too many extras make the Jews give up everything in the end. Saying, I'm tired of this, I can't live with this stress. Doing too much in the end can make you lose the really urgent things. And that's what happened. It's called mahmir. You mahmir too much, you become a chamor in the end. You know, okay. So chamor means a donkey. Okay, now, of course you have to check all the holes, you have to check places that kids may put wafers under the couches, even in the cuffs of the pants. A lot of breadcrumbs you're going to find over there. I'm preparing you already. Now remember, if you said in the end that you dismiss the chametz, what happened if you find chametz in the holiday of Pesach? After you're in Leila Seder, tomorrow morning you go, you open some closet, you find inside the box a cookie. Your baby put a cookie there. Now, if it's on Yom Tov, if it's on a holiday itself, in Israel the holiday is the first day of Passover and the 7th day. And the 5 days in between, it's called Chol HaMoed. Half holiday, half weekday. In America, or everywhere in the exile, every Yom Tov become 2 days. So the first 2 days is Yom Tov, and the last 2 days is Yom Tov. So since it's 8 days, minus 4, you have only 4 days Chol HaMoed, which one of them usually falls on Shabbat. You know? So those Chol HaMoed. If you found that cookie in Chol HaMoed, you pick it up with some kind of a spoon or something, and you get it out of the house. If you find it in Yom Tov, you're not allowed to move it. It's muktzeh. What do you do right now? You have to take something and cover it. You cover it, and don't worry about it, because you already dismissed the chametz. Remember, after you finish and you burn the chametz, in the Haggadah, you have to say 3 times, all the chametz that I have in my possession will be dismissed, will be like the sand in the ground. What happened if you found it a day after Pesach is over? You open your closet, wow, I had it all 8 days. What happened? What happened? It's dismissed. You did not violate the rules. You did everything you can. Bad luck. This is what happened. Are you allowed to eat it now?
No.
If you eat it now, it shows that you're a liar. You say that it will be like the sand. You know a person who eats sand? You're not allowed to eat it. But that's not really the reason. The reason is, there's a law. חמץ שעבר עליו הפסח אסור בהנאה. Every chametz that was stayed in a possession of a Jew, which means there's a violation of the rules of Passover, are forbidden to enjoy from it for eternity. No matter how expensive it is. Whether it's a little cookie or 500 bottles of whiskey. So that means if you went to a rich Jew and he served you whiskey and you know he's not religious, you're never allowed to drink in his house. Why? Because this whiskey was in his possession on a holiday of Passover. He doesn't sell to a goy. He drinks whiskey on Pesach. It's a big problem. Or if you buy your grocery in a supermarket that the owner is a Jew that is really a goy, behave like a goy, doesn't observe the Sabbath, doesn't keep Passover, sell bread on Passover. Then from the moment after Passover, you're not allowed to buy from him any chametz. Because all this chametz was in his possession in the holiday of Passover. You cannot allow to enjoy it. So you have to wait a month until he get rid of all the chametz that was in his possession in the holiday of Pesach. Now when he receives new delivery, from the new delivery, you can enjoy. Which just makes it a little bit complicated. In Monsey, we have a very good custom. There's Rabbi Greenfeld over there. He goes to ShopRite supermarket and he makes a deal with them before Pesach. That, before Pesach, you know, he's gonna make sure that he has chametz. He takes all the chametz. He's a goy, the owner of the supermarket. He lock it in a room with a lock. And he gives this rabbi the key. Nobody can touch it. This is chametz that is there before Passover. Why? Because many of the flour supplier or the Cheerios or anything are Jewish Reform Jews that don't care about God even a bit. And they do everything against the Torah. The most wicked people in the world is these Reform Jews. So these people, they sell as usual chametz, bread, and they don't care what the Torah say. For them, Judaism is like, like a identity, like a fake ID, whatever. That's what it is for them. My ID, tradition, culture, I don't know. There's no even words to describe what they really hold from the religion. So they sell chametz as usual. They are the biggest suppliers in America. They sell to Petmart, to all these big chains of supermarkets. And their trucks deliver in the middle of Passover, in the middle of Yom Tov, in the middle of Chol HaMoed. Now, since it was in a position of a Jew, in few days of the Pesach until it arrives to the hand of the Goy, we are not allowed to eat from this chametz.
How do we know which one is?
Oh, so how do you know? We ask, the Rabbi Greenbelt asked him to lock it inside a room, and he gives him the key. Like this we know he did not receive any deliveries during Passover. He was in a possession of a goy before the holiday started. And then as soon as Passover is over, Rabbi Greenbelt runs quickly, open the place, and more than 1,000 Jews goes there, and they buy all the chametz, and they know this chametz was not owned by a Jew in the 8 days of Passover. You got it?
They do that at hotels.
Yeah, they do it. Okay, now you have to know one thing. Why the goy would cooperate with the rabbi?
Because it's a monthly.
He knows there's a guarantee 1,000 big, huge racks full of chametz in Passover night. Spaghettis boxes, breads, cornflakes, this, that. And now if they already come to the supermarket, they buy other things. They buy cold cuts, they buy cheese. So if I'm already here, what, I'm going to buy only chametz? So every cart is $200-300. Multiply by at least 1,000 people that comes in 4 hours after Passover. That's it. Now, why did I say before that I'm not a supporter of all this selling chametz, selling to a goy? Why they made that law that you're allowed to sell chametz to a goy? Why? For businesses, for stores that have 2 tons of chametz, $100,000 bread, $200,000 cornflakes, a lot of chametz in a big, it's a huge pet mark now. You know how much chametz they have in their storages? Bags of flowers, this, that. So what are they going to do? They're going to throw all of it to the garbage? No. So they allow them to sell it to a goy. But individual like us, what reasons we have to sell the 2 pounds of cookies that we have? It's a shame. Just get rid of it. Give it to the cleaning lady. Give it to the guy in a bank that does some favors to you. Even half a bottle of whiskey, you give it to somebody who works for you. Get rid of it. Better to get rid of it than to sell it to a guy. Why? Let me ask you a question. I have a friend, he owns 2 pizza stores. 2 pizza stores. Which night is the busiest night of the year for the pizza stores? The Jewish glad kosher pizza stores. Not Motzei Shabbat. When Passover finished. People have such strong desire in this life. God forbid they will have another night without pizza. 8 days they didn't eat chametz. They're counting the hours. Rabbi, tonight, 9 o'clock. It's very sad. So what's going on now? The owner of the pizza store wants to make it up to the 8 days he didn't sell.
But he only sells a pie at a time. They don't sell individual.
Only pies. Right. That night is only pies. There's no individual. 100 makes sense. He doesn't have time to start canning. It's all pies. So and then, anyway, everyone wants pie. You got 2-3 friends, it's already a pie. Family, it's few pies, right? So listen good. What they do? How exactly, if Passover will be finished tonight at 9, how exactly at 9:10 they already have 500 pies ready? It takes 2 hours for the flour to to rise until they put the sauce. They take all the flour, all the wheat, all the dough. It's all ready from before Passover on the carts, on the shelves. It's all ready. It's all ready. Everything ready. Round already. They prepared it, all things. Now they take it out of the freezer. They send the goy few hours before Passover is over. The goy comes to the pizza. He take it all out of the freezer. You have big room freezer, big freezer room. They take everything out to the frost. They know 2, 3, 4 hours. It's the frost. It's already heat over there. It's next to the oven. And quickly, they begin to prepare. They put the sauce, they put the cheese, and they start to prepare 100, 200 pies right away. It takes them 2, 3 hours. They prepare everything. Soon as Passover is over, a minute after, they open up the store and everything is already in the oven. There's only one problem. There's only one problem. What is the problem? How the Jew has 1 ton of dough in his possession? The answer is, he sold it to a goy. Now here is what I say. Up to now, everything is clear. What happened if he sold it to Vini, that own a non-kosher pizza store? He has across the street, not kosher pizza. He comes to him, he says, listen, I have 1 ton of dough prepared. Prepared. The value of it, let's say it's $5 each, 1,000 pies, $5,000. I want you to buy it for me. So Vini will tell him, what do I need it for? I make my own dough. He said, no, don't worry. All you have to do is give me $5 now. And when Passover is over, you give me $4,995. You don't want? Don't pay. The deal is off. I give you back your $5 and I keep the dough. The guy understands what is it all about, and he gives it to him. Okay, we're neighbors, here, no problem. What happened now if in Chol HaMoed all of a sudden Vini had a big party and he needs 100 pies of pizza? And he come to Yosef, the owner of the pizza store. He has the key because he bought the thing. It's his now. According to the halacha, he owns it, the goy. Because if the Jew owns it, you're not allowed to eat from it, ever. So the goy owns it. So what happened now? The goy comes and go into the store in the middle of Chol HaMoed and wants to take it. Would Yosef the Jew allow him to touch that dough? Or he would lay down on right there in the kitchen? No, please, don't touch it. What are you doing? So what do you mean? I bought it from you. Here is the money. Let me take it. I need it. He will never let him, no questions. He will never let him take it. Why? He wants to make $10,000 in a few days. He said the guy's going to take it. Right there, he lost half of the money. If he would let him take it, then it's no problem to buy from this pizza store. If you want, you just ate chametz that was violated in the rules of Pesach. That's the problem here. Now remember, I don't have any rush or any urge to go to pizza. Yeah, the kids want, no problem. You don't have to. We wait a few days, no problem. Let them make noodle. In Monsi, in the supermarkets, on the bread they have stickers. Was baked after Pesach. Now what about flowers? Is flowers are chametz or no? Bags of flowers. Flour is chametz? What do you say? Flour, wheat flour, barley, wheat, whole wheat, whatever. No, it's not chametz. Flour is chametz only when it comes in contact with water and 18 minutes passed. Then it became dough and started to rise. All it needs is 1 drop of water. You take a drop of water on a bag of flour. The entire bag became chametz now. You don't know exactly where it fell. You know for sure water touched it, it's chametz. That's why we don't keep flour in our house. But if you knew 1,000,000% that you put it in a place that no water will ever touch that bag, you did not violate any rule. It's not chametz. Why we don't do it? Especially when all the flowers we buy today, it's bleach flour. They clean it. They make it more white. Maybe in the process, some kind of humidity went in, and it started to rise, even a little bit. It could be chametz, so we don't keep flour in the house. But just to show you that chametz is not really, flour is not really chametz. Only flour that touched water become chametz. Now, let's finish this. Okay, so we finished the bdikat chametz. I say it again, better not to sell chametz. Get rid of all the chametz. You have enough time between now and Pesach. And that's it. Now, what happens if you have a house in Florida? What are you going to do? You're going to pay $1,000 to fly there to check it? What are you going to do?
Most people go there for Pesach.
Oh, so what do you do? You can hire a person that lives over there, that every year he will go and clean and check and do everything for you for money. Or, if you don't have a choice, you sell the entire house. What can you do? You sell it to a goy. You do it. Or you can do the bdikat chametz few months before Pesach, knowing nobody entered the house. You only go there once or twice a year for a week. Now you know you are 3 months before Pesach. Nobody will come there until after Pesach. You make sure you clean, you lock it, finish. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go just to check it. Why? Because you know you already did. Then, what else? Let's see. Okay. Some Sephardic Jews also don't eat rice on Pesach, Moroccans usually. The reason that Moroccans don't eat rice, some of them, not all of them, some of the Moroccans, because in Morocco they used to have a lot of Ashkenazi rabbis who went to Morocco to teach Torah. And when the Ashkenazi come to where the Sephardim lives, most of them are not expert in the Sephardic customs. You understand? The same thing like some Sephardic rabbis are not expert in Ashkenazi customs. Same thing Ashkenazi. Once in a blue moon you find a Chacham that is a genius in everything, in all the Ashkenazi and all the Sephardic, like Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. To the best of my knowledge, the only Gdol Ador in the world today that is aware of both sides perfectly is Rav Ovadia Yosef. The other ones is either expert in Ashkenazi or expert in Sephardi. Even though, like I say, all the differences are in customs, not in the law. The law is the same law, same everything. But the custom, there's some minor differences. So some of these Moroccans, they are influenced by the Ashkenazi teachers that they had 100 years ago in Morocco. So they don't touch rice. But Sfaradim are permitted 100%, even these Moroccans are allowed to eat rice in Pesach. Then what happens if an Ashkenazi wants to go to Pesach to a house of a Sephardic person? The Sephardic person eats rice, he eats all kinds of things that this Ashkenazi doesn't eat. He eats hummus, chickpeas, trina, he eats all kinds of salads that the Ashkenazim don't touch because it mixed with kitniot. Right? What happened in that case? A Sephardi has to be careful not to give him things that it's against his tradition. He may not know what he's eating. You got to be careful. Yeah, even though the Sephardim are all eating, this Ashkenazi can see rice. It's no problem because remember, it's not chametz. Make no mistake. It's just an extra koshes that the Ashkenazim do. What happens if an Ashkenazi woman married a Sephardic man or the other way around? A Sephardic woman marry an Ashkenazi man.
It goes by the man.
And always go by the men. If a Sephardic marry an Ashkenazi, or if the Ashkenazi marry a Sephardi, this is the law. Right? If the Ashkenazi woman marry a Sephardi, and now she's used from her father's house not to touch rice and kitniot on Pesach. Now she got married to Sephardi. Now she tells her husband, I'm not allowed in Chol HaMoed to make rice for you. Because we didn't do it in my father's house. Now you tell me to make you rice in Chol HaMoed of Pesach? I can't. Is she right or wrong? The answer, she's wrong. Right? It's not a sin to make rice. Remember, it's not even a sin to eat it. It's just a custom that they don't eat it because they worry maybe there is wheat in it. So she has to cook it for because from the time she got married, her parents' tradition does not exist anymore. You understand? That's how the halacha is. Then, what happens if she wants to also eat it? 100%, she's permitted. You know, why? When she married Sephardi, she followed the tradition of Sephardi. You understand? Now, what happened if Sephardic married an Ashkenazi? Sephardic woman that all her life ate rice or other kitniot. It's not decent, not that it's not allowed, it's not decent to cook for herself rice in the house of her husband. Right? For him, it's not. He doesn't keep it on Pesach. But if she goes to her parents and her parents eat rice, she is allowed to eat rice. That's a chidush. She married to an Ashkenazi. She doesn't have to keep his extra. She has to keep the laws of her husband. But the extras, remember what I said before? He cannot force it on her. The extras, and this is for sure extras because some of the biggest Ashkenaz rabbis in the last 1,000 years wrote very strong words against this custom. It's just because there's a chance that wheat fall into the rice, you make millions of people don't eat it for years. It's a little bit too far. You went too far. Then, Bezrat Hashem, in one other opportunity, we finished for today, but in one other opportunity I will go over the laws of the night of Leila Seder. Many Jews can be religious many years and they don't know how to handle the Seder. They make a lot of mistakes, the 4 cups, this, certain things that we do, what's maror, how you do it, how do you sit when you eat, what happens if you made a mistake, what's the teaching of the night with your children, who is more important, the guests, the children. There's a lot of things that we have to say. Bezrat Hashem will do it on another night. So far, it's part 1 of this Passover. Continuation will follow. Yes?
Coca-Cola is kosher for Passover all year round, right?
Yes. Most of them has P on it. O-U-P. P means Passover. Yeah.
Yes,
But I heard even if it doesn't say P, you're still allowed to drink it, right?
Possible. I'm not an expert in the ingredients of Coca-Cola, but very possible. There are certain things you can call the OU. They have a hotline, and ask them, this product doesn't have a special supervision for Passover. What's it? And they know the ingredients. They know it's no problem. It's not chametz. You can eat it. You understand? That's it.
What happened if you, chas v'chalila, when Pesach came and you had the chametz? Can you do tshuva for it?
Everything you can do tshuva for. What's the tshuva for having chametz in your house and not being careful? On the next year, you got to be extra careful. You check. You know, you do all these things and make sure, and you please ask Hashem to forgive you when Yom Kippur comes, and that's a tshuva for it. One thing I want everyone to understand, it's not a mitzvah to torture the wives in the cleaning of the Pesach, like some men do. A wife hates, most of them hates Pesach. It's a nightmare for them. Why? They're so nervous in the night of the Bikat Chametz that the husband will find something and he say, what kind of wife you are, you're not careful, you didn't clean, why I'm paying your cleaning lady. That's not a mitzvah. It's worse sin to do it than to have Chametz. Why? Because you disrespect your wife, you're depressing her. You know, you have to talk to her in a nice way, and plus, you don't make her do things that are not necessary. Most of the Pesach cleaning comes from ignorance. Remember what I said. If you take every average religious woman in the world and you see all the preparation she does for Pesach, at least 70% of that, it's completely not necessary. At least. Taking things out of the house, a lot of weird things. The way they clean the walls, they wrap the whole house with tin foil. It's all nonsense. You don't need all this. You don't need, if a drop of chametz flew from someone's mouth into the wall and is there. That's not a sin. Remember, you make a cancellation. You're canceling. It's a lot of extra work that husbands that are ignorant, that they do not know Torah, they make their wives, they torture them for no reason. Mamash, like this. You understand? So remember, there's a lot that is not necessary to do. If you want, you ask, is this urgent, is this not? And most remember, if you know exactly what needs to be done, Pesach is far away from being a nightmare. It's very easy. In few days before, you can clean the entire house and have a perfect kosher Pesach. Baruch Adonai L'olam, Amen ve'amen.